Well, it was one guy purporting to represent a lot of people, like a lot of people who work in the shops and the restaurants and so on, that these people were going to hound me and my husband Meade out of town, basically, that they were the majority in the town. They owned the town, and we just didn't belong in the town, and they were going to make it so bad for us that we were citizen banned from the town. Which sounds like a kind of a Barney Fife sort of a citizen's arrest. I picture them, citizen band! Oh, Fight Club is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely have seen it, and I do think that a lot of these people go to the movies and pick up kind of memes from pop culture, and they use that in their writing. And I don't think that most of the people who like Fight Club would actually go out and do these things. But if they did, they'd be like Al-Qaeda. It really is. I mean, in the end of Fight Club, I don't want to give away the ending, but, buildings get blown up and so forth. It really is serious terrorism. So you don't know. It looks cute to some extent. The person might think he's a clever writer. It's not really that good at writing, but you can tell that it's written by someone who thinks he's a clever writer. But you don't know at what point this edges over into real violence, or whether it would inspire some other person to violence. I mean, I saw the video that Jared Loughner made walking around campus talking about things, and if I had just seen that, I would just think, oh, it's an alienated youth, he's probably perfectly fine, he probably went home and watched TV and went to bed. I wouldn't think this is a dangerous person that something needs to be done about. So I don't really know. You don't really know, and you don't know how threatened to feel by things like that. My way of taking it seriously is to put it on the internet, or put it on my blog, let that speak for itself. And of course, people read my blog, people link to it, people do what they want with it. I mean, I actually feel sorry for other people who have tried to be peaceful protesters, who've tried to do things in a very positive way, getting kind of harmed by how much attention this one thing gets. I mean, there are some people who, are really, they're not helping their own cause. They think they're helping, but he's really drawing individual attention to himself. He's getting his name out there, his writing out there, and he's hurting other people who really worked hard to try to make the protest seem positive. But there have been plenty of other people who've also made it seem pretty ugly too. I mean, my husband Meade was surrounded by a mob at one point, and someone physically grabbed the camera out of his hand, and he was actually defending himself with a camera, taking pictures of people in a mob as they were coming around at him, accusing him of being a walker plant. And basically, we have all the pictures that he took with the big Nikon camera up in front of his face, which was actually a pretty effective kind of weapon, because people don't really want to come right at you when you're taking their picture, unless they can also steal and destroy your camera. Well, he got the video camera back. He had the other big camera, and we have some pictures of people being really ugly, and they're on video too. He was doing video the whole time, and you could hear them coming at him, and they're all going around saying, he's a walker plant, he's a walker plant. It's like something from a Hollywood movie. And it's funny. It might seem, well, are these people harmless or not? How do you get out of a crowd of thousands of people who are all on one side, who are spreading the word that you're the enemy, you're a plant, and then there are police around? A whole part of this story is that the police are looking on and are seem to be facilitating the protest, and you don't know whether you can go to the police. Will they even help you? If you say, police officer, help me, will he basically not help you? And then there's the mob, and there is no law enforcement. It's really chaos. And that was one of the messages in this screed that was on the internet, was that, the police won't help you. Well, we're not really trying to run away. We like to go down into the thick of things and get the pictures, get the video. We know we don't really even try to confront them. We just get the video, and we know we're going to get home with it later. We'll edit it. We'll put it up online, and it will have the effect that it has. So that's really our defense, is the more speech, and we're putting their own speech out where you can see it. Now, one of our favorite things to capture is these assertions about democracy. One of their favorite chants is, this is what democracy looks like, but they're blocking the legislature. They're intimidating people with other points of view. And that speaks for itself. Another thing that we do is go in and just talk to people. How is it democracy to abscond to Illinois? How is it democracy? Wasn't it democracy last November when we had an election? Very hard to take a coherent position confronted with that. And it's funny to, get video of people trying to argue their way out of that. I have a lot of videos. Some of it's a little boring, because people trying to make arguments to weasel out of things like that will switch from one topic to another. And I think these recall elections might actually assuming they get enough petitions, then they have to have an election. There has to be an actual opponent that goes up, and there will be a fight, and money will pour into that. And I think that at that point, it will give the Republicans an opportunity to, number one, use the video from the protests in obviously cherry picking the worst stuff, the worst signs, and portraying what happened here as this really ugly chaos. That's not going to look good once it's made into commercials for these recalled Republicans. And then secondly, making absolutely crystal clear what the argument is really about when it comes to unions and public sector employees, and the way the money flows through mandatory deductions in paychecks through to the unions, into the Democratic Party that then in office gives various favorable treatment to these unions. And so that kind of an argument about the perversity of the public unions will be made very clearly in that context. And I think that the people who are saying, yeah, let's go to a recall, let's have a new campaign that's really focused on what just happened, I think they're going to regret the way that will look when the Republican senator has to go back home to his district where he was already elected, fighting it once again in this focused way with that video, with those arguments, and this material about the public sector unions, which I think a lot of people haven't thought through clearly, haven't really thought about. They just think more generally about workers' rights and people who work for private companies. But I think when the argument is really focused and really presented about that, a light bulb will go on for a lot of people.